And I used to like Jim Trotter. I don't know what happened to Jim Trotter. This was a very rational person that I used to know. To see him go from, hey, the NFL Network laid me off, and Jim Trotter's my age. Guys my age have been getting laid off in journalism forever. For the last 15, 20 years, they've been wiping us out and replacing us with young people. It's going on all throughout corporate America. Everybody, you get over 50 and they start thinking, hey, we can get some 25-year-old to replace you. But anyway, it's all racism, and that's why the NFL Network let him go. Now, The Athletic has, according to Jim Trotter, watered down his column complaining about the NFL and why they must discipline Nick Bosa for wearing a MAGA hat. I want to read a couple of excerpts from Jim's column in The Athletic that he says was watered down. He first blamed the New York Times, which owns The Athletics. Then he put out a clarifying tweet saying, I shouldn't have blamed the New York Times. It's The Athletic that did it. But they watered it down because I read the column that's been published, and it sounds like the ramblings of a lunatic and someone that, again, it's not the Jim Trotter I used to know. It's just a guy screaming, racism, 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 I'm a victim. And oh my God, there's a double standard. These white NFL owners, they pay these players hundreds of millions of dollars, but secretly they're racist. And they just want to stop Colin Kaepernick. And oh, it's so hard. Jim, cut it out. Here's a couple of excerpts from his piece that was watered down. I would love to know what they cut out. Did he just call everybody these cracker MF crackers? Maybe that's what they cut out. I don't know. But here's an failure to take some sort of action would suggest the presence of a double standard and raise the question of whether the league is more comfortable with a white player using its national spotlight to endorse a presidential candidate than it is with black players demonstrating against systemic racism. He enters things in as facts that aren't facts. He's demonstrating against systemic racism. There's not 100% agreement that there is systemic racism. There's not. I know Jim Trotter and his group have all said, there's systemic racism, and that's a fact. Well, there's other people saying, no, there isn't systemic racism. There's something called sin. It's in the Bible. It's a foundational fact and truth. Sin. Jim and his group have systemic racism. No, there's not universal agreement. Like, everybody pretty much agrees today is Wednesday. That's a fact. It's an opinion that Colin Kaepernick was protesting against systemic racism. Colin Kaepernick, in my opinion, was throwing a tantrum because he lost his job to Blaine Gabbert. There is no equivalence between what Nick Bosa did, wearing a hat in support of a presidential candidate, and a guy taking a knee during the national anthem to allegedly complain that somebody, Michael Brown or somebody, Trayvon Martin, I don't know, someone got killed. And it's the police's fault, it's America's fault, because some resisting black criminal got killed. Those are opinions, not facts. And so Jim's writing this up. Well, God, everybody knows he was fighting systemic racism. First of all, there's people that don't believe in systemic racism. And two, there are people like me that don't believe that Colin Kaepernick was doing anything but throwing a tantrum and drawing attention to himself and calling the NFL I lost my starting quarterback job. They're racist. Guess who else is doing that? Jim Trotter. I lost my job at the NFL Network. They're racist. Anytime a liberal black man fails, it is systemic racism's fault. There are people that don't buy that. I'm one of them. I don't buy that. If you're having any concerns over how much you're paying for health insurance, click the link in my bio to schedule a call with the amazing team at Crowd Health. Crowd Health is revolutionizing healthcare. Pay your healthcare bills without the need for insurance. Click the link in my bio, schedule a call with Crowd Health today. Jim Trotter then goes on to say, the concern is whether the NFL might show it has a double standard when it comes to political expressions by players. Now, I just want to stop, and I'm going to reread this, go back, but I want to reread this because it sounds like I'm just repeating myself. But I'm really just repeating what Jim Trotter wrote. He had so little content that he just had to keep repeating the same point. It's like a child stamping his feet. If I just sit here and cry and whine long enough, they'll believe me. This sounds like the previous paragraph, but anyway, let me read it again. The concern is whether the NFL might show it has a double standard when it comes to political expressions by players. Kaepernick gets blackballed for fighting for social justice. And Bosa gets what? Ignored by the league and applauded by far-right supporters who otherwise demand that athletes, specifically black athletes, stick to sports. Let's say Colin Kaepernick, Jim, let's say Colin Kaepernick had said, I'm pro-Barack Obama, and wore a hat that said, I'm pro-Barack Obama. There would be no controversy. Yeah, you got the little fake afro, you're a mixed nut, you dating some Egyptian white woman and looking for your black moment. Everybody would just say, yeah, okay, you support Barack Obama, no big deal. The man took a knee during the national anthem and basically called America systemically racist. And there are people that love this country who don't believe that, who were offended. You dragged the national anthem into it. Nick Bosa hasn't dragged anybody or anything into it other than himself. He's endorsing Donald Trump. Colin Kaepernick was taking a dump on all of America and politicizing and making the national anthem a divisive issue. It's completely different. Jim Trotter knows it. Everybody knows it. And all this, oh my God, if they would just shut up and dribble. If Nick Bosa starts giving speeches about, hey, this is what we should do in Ukraine, and this is the significance of what's going on between Hamas and Israel, yes, I will stand up and say, hey, Nick, you're way out over your skis, buddy. Just go tackle the quarterback. But in this country, if the man wants to say, hey, I think you should vote for Donald Trump, I got no problem with that. If he wanted to say, I think you vote for Kamala Harris, I would think he's an idiot, but no one would care. There would be no controversy. Colin Kaepernick can endorse whatever political candidate he wants in the NFL. And then here's the other thing. They're acting like Colin Kaepernick spent the entire season taking a knee, game after game after game after game. It wasn't like, oh, Colin Kaepernick took a knee and the NFL, they blackballed him, they ran him out of the league. No, the man collected a check for the rest of the year, and then people decided, hey, bro, you're not worth the hassle. There's too much controversy. I don't want to be answering questions about your political stances and your social justice warrior. I want to answer questions about football. I don't want my whole team immersed in your political movement. And so people didn't want to put up with Colin Kaepernick. He wasn't that good. Nick Bosa is one of the best defensive ends in the league. They're going to tolerate him wearing a MAGA hat because he makes plays and helps the 49ers win games. They're doing this, here's my point, these desperate Dems, nuts. They're so desperate to spark some sort of chaos. They're hoping and praying, they're on knees right now. This football weekend has to be full of chaos and full of political unrest. This weekend is what they're trying to spark something. And Jim Trotter is trying to help them do that. They want every player trying to make some sort of political statement this weekend, and they want it to devolve into chaos and division within locker rooms and on teams. They want players fighting on the field. They want fans fighting in the stands. They want to turn this weekend's football games into political rallies. That's how desperate these dim nuts are. They are desperate. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.